My name is Ruth Guthrie, and this is a lecture about affordances. An affordance is a feature of a product or a website or an app that gives the user some clue as to how to operate the device. An example of this that you might be familiar with is a handle on a coffee cup. It's attached to the cup. You can hold it in your hand, and it gives you a clue that the cup might be for drinking or pouring, maybe. If there's a tiny impression on one side of the cup, you might guess that it's to pour out whatever is contained in the cup. A web example of an affordance is blue underlined text. When we see this, we know exactly what to do. Click it and you go to another page. If you click it and nothing happens, it's frustrating because your expectations are not met. Our course, without me introducing you to Donald Norman. He is one of the primary people that developed the field of human-computer interaction, HCI. He started as a professor at University of California, San Diego, and became famous for the book, The Design of Everyday Things, in which he talked a lot about telephones, doors, and refrigerators, and how people interact with those devices. The book was written in 1988, but it's still very interesting today and compelling in the way it discusses how people use everyday devices. The teapot on the cover is significant because the spout and the handle are placed in a manner that defies the user's expectation. This is a quote that I love from page 9 of the text. When a simple thing needs pictures, labels, or instructions, the design has failed. So think if you had a coffee cup and you couldn't figure out how to operate it without instructions, that would be a failed design. Another founder of HCI and UX is Jacob Nielsen. He worked for Apple and was called the King of Usability by Internet Magazine. He has several articles on HCIs in the famous blog Alert Box that's located on the NNG website. NNG stands for Nielsen Norman Group. He and Donald Norman founded the Nielsen Norman Group consulting company. A definition of an affordance from interaction design is a design aspect of an object which suggests how the object should be used, a visual clue to its function. An affordance helps you to operate a device. It helps you achieve something with that device. It helps you achieve a goal. I encourage you to notice places that you visit and see if there are tiny handwritten notes helping people understand things. This is an indicator of a failed design, according to Norman. You'll hear many terms for this field, such as HCI, user-centered design, user experience, UX, or usability. These terms are all related but have subtle differences when we use them. This is an example of a failed design that I found in the old College of Business building. It used to be that the ladies' room was, and then notice the little note on the right-hand side, and it says, open door slowly, presumably because somebody got hit with the door with someone walking through too quickly. The sign on the right is a picture of the men's restroom on the first floor, and you can see the subdued brown men's restroom sign on the background. I think the little picture of a man must have fallen away. But then again, you see a bright white sign that says women's restroom upstairs, but you have the same effect. You think you're going into the women's restroom. And then there's a giant handicapped icon below the sign, but it's ambiguous as to whether that's this bathroom, the bathroom upstairs, and which bathroom you're supposed to use. Affordances have been categorized by several scholars in several different ways. Cognitive affordances improve human thinking. It helps someone's cognitive skills in operating a device. Physical affordances are dials, levers, physical features of a device that help you to operate it. Sensory affordances relate to human senses of touch, taste, hearing, sight, and smell. Something like hearing a button make a noise when you press it so that you know your action did something. Remember how a camera shutter used to make a noise? You probably don't, but they all used to. Emotional affordances give the user a positive emotional experience, like getting a bunch of likes on all the photos of your pet rats. Let's talk about cognitive affordances. On the left of the screen is a shot of several icons that help people operate computers. A tiny house indicates that if you click it, you are taken home to the home page. The @ symbol in an envelope is easy to understand as email. A pencil is used to indicate the turning on of some edit feature in whatever you're using. A simple graphic helps the user operate the device quickly and easily. The icons have extended the user's cognitive abilities. The other graphic on the slide is an error message for an Excel formula, an unfriendly #ref in red text. Without more thoughtful investigation, this does not extend the user's cognitive abilities. Using less foreboding text in the error message, or even text that is more clear, could help millions of Excel users to operate the spreadsheet correctly, the most powerful tool, and so many people are mystified by it. You may recognize the last icon on the page correctly as the image meaning save file. Have you ever seen a physical item that looked like this when you were using a computer? It's a diskette, and we used to store files and data on them. We would carry them between machines like a thumb drive and call it SneakerNet. Today, you can sometimes find diskettes in people's garages, but not often. A long time ago, this became the symbol for save, even though diskettes are unused today. This is called a Skeuomorph, an archaic leftover design that is still used. I'm not kidding. Even though the word Skeuomorph is red underlined text in Microsoft Word, you can look it up on Wikipedia. I was on their site today, and there was a picture of a 70s station wagon with simulated wood siding, like the old Woodies that had real wood siding. Apparently, when cars were first invented, they came with buggy whip holders, even though you didn't need a whip to motivate or control the horses. It was just something that people were accustomed to, so they kept it. The icon with the phone, while still recognizable, might become a relic of the past. The phone we use most doesn't look like this one. Many people don't even have home phones anymore. Similarly, the bookshelf we see electronically is made to give us comfort as if we're browsing at the library, but it really is unnecessary on a mobile device. A nice alphabetical listing with a rating or an indicator of length of the book would be more useful. Here's another great Skeuomorph, the Apple Watch. Putting a watch face on a digital flat screen is unnecessary, though super cool. So cool, in fact, that Apple got sued over the design of the watch face. You can see the two designs in the call-out on the right. It was a copy of a clock face in a Swiss Federal Railway building. Apple copied it, got sued, and paid $21 million to use the Swiss clock design. Physical affordances are the easiest to define. It helps a person to operate a device. Think about your car steering wheel. It has little ridges underneath to help you hang on to it. If you turn right, the car moves in the right direction. If you turn left, the car goes left. It seems funny that finding a fire exit route requires a ton of reading and understanding of a map, while driving a car requires nothing. That is a great design. If you ever played Dance Central on Xbox Connect, it's fantastic the way it follows what the competitor's movements are and scores the game. You can operate the Xbox by using gestures to navigate your choices. With very little effort, a person can be an expert in operating the device with their movement. Other examples that I already mentioned are the teapot handle or the blue underlined text for the hyperlink. A sensory affordance uses human senses to support cognitive or physical affordances. The Galaxy phone had a feature that would allow a person to use their eyes to scroll a page if they were reading. That way, the person didn't have to use their fingers to navigate through a book that they were reading on their phone. Some devices have grips or textures that let you hold them more easily. In computer applications, copies of these gripping items were used so that the user would know this item is draggable or resizable. This is a good example of another Skeuomorph. The picture on the right side of the screen is something called the rotor. This is on your phone and tablet devices. It's a way that blind people can navigate the web by changing the way a screen reader reads a page. If the rotor is enabled, you can use 2 fingers and make a twisting motion on the screen. Then the rotor appears and the user can select different options such as links, words, or images to navigate by. It's on everyone's device and almost no one knows it's there. Some poison gas is purposely scented in a bad way. This way, if there's a gas leak, people will become aware of the danger before it's too late. Cough syrup comes in grape and cherry flavors so that children will not mind taking it. Emotional affordances. This might seem odd, but yes, a device can leave you with an emotional response. Look at how nuts people were with Candy Crush or for Flappy Bird. Incredible. An example of an emotional affordance is Apple packaging. Did you know that Apple has hundreds of patents for packaging their products? That's right, the box that the product comes in. If you've ever gotten an iPhone or another Apple product, the sleek modern box probably made you excited to unwrap and hold your device even before you turned it on. I noticed recently at the Lakers game that when someone makes a free throw, a sound is played that sounds like Mario is collecting money from the little coins on the obstacle course, or like you're collecting your gems in Clash of Clans. I can only think that the Laker organization is trying to capitalize on people's addiction to video games to heighten the connection of the fans to the game. My last example is a computer one, the status bar. While seeing one may not delight the user, not seeing one would certainly confuse them. When a status bar is part of the interface, it tells the user something is happening and this is how far you are to completion. It gives the person comfort that they know they are reaching their goal. To me, emotional affordances seem highly related to dopamine. We'll learn more about that later in our class. Research into emotional affordances is often in the area of social media. By now, you're probably getting the idea. An affordance helps people use something. There are several types of affordances, but it should be a little confusing too. Isn't a sensory affordance of the taste of cough syrup also an emotional affordance in that it tastes like candy and is comforting to a sick child? Isn't a physical affordance like an on-off switch also a cognitive affordance? The answer is yes. Affordances can cross many categories. This is a table from an academic paper on affordances by Rex Hartson. He was looking at how people defined affordances and the various terms used. A lot of people have defined affordances in slightly different ways. You just need to remember the big picture and know that an affordance helps people understand how to use something. A well-designed app or a website has features that help users understand what to do. It's important to know how users operate your site so that you can use affordances to guide them in accomplishing what they came to your site for. Using good affordances makes your site easier to use and less stressful for a new visitor. As a designer, it's very difficult to see what the user sees. This is how we end up with hospitals that have doorways too small for wheelchairs. That is how we end up with e-commerce sites where 80% of the users balk at the checkout because they don't know what the return policy is. You should be asking user-related questions when you're thinking about your site design. How do you evaluate what the user is experiencing? How do you control it? How do you create design that brings the user back? Norman's 7 stages of action. This is a figure developed by Donald Norman in the Design of Everyday Things. The graphic is from the w3c.org website. It describes the steps the user goes through in deciding what to do with a device. Consider a microwave oven. My goal is to make some popcorn. My intent is to cook the bag of microwave popcorn. I see the popcorn button on the microwave and know that I place the bag into the microwave and then press that button with a picture of popcorn on it. This sequence should help me attain my goal. Then I execute these steps and observe what happens in the world. I perceive through the window that the popcorn bag is expanding and I hear it popping. I interpret this as the popcorn cooking. After the microwave dings, I believe it is cooked and I open the bag and evaluate my outcomes. If I had not found the popcorn button, I would have had difficulty creating a sequence of actions. This is known as the gulf of execution. It means that I want to act, but I cannot figure out what to do. If I could not see or hear what was happening to the popcorn, I would have no way to know I was done cooking. This is known as the gulf of execution. It means that I don't know if what I did was successful or not. Now you can think about it for an online shopping cart. I want to purchase something in my cart. What do I do? Example, missing the user's expectation. Here is a screenshot from CIS421 SAM software. Do you remember taking this course a long time ago? Before gaining access to the tutorials, you had to enroll in a section of the class. On the left are the section names. They are all blue so the user can instantly know it's clickable. So if I wanted to enroll in Dr. Pike's section, I'd click on his name, right? No, that isn't right. If you want to enroll in that section, you must find it and then click the icon on the far right of the screen that is on the same line as Dr. Pike's name. Clicking Dr. Pike's name simply identifies the section but does not allow you to enroll. Once the user sees this error, they can easily evaluate what went wrong and enroll in the section. However, clicking on the section you want to enroll in would have been much more straightforward. Here's another example from CIS421. From the activity list, the user sees all the options: exams, trainings, projects. These are all activities that the student can do in the class. If the user is told to select the projects, they click on the tab, expecting to see only projects. However, what this actually does is deselects the projects. All the items come pre-selected. To see only exams, the user would have to unclick all the items except exams. A very confusing design. Here are some questions your users might ask about your site. What is it for? What can I do with it? What does it do? What current state is it in? How do I operate it? What should I do here? And the answer to the last question is do what the designer tells you. The last question is critical. What we want them to think is, what should I do here? But we also want the design to be so thoughtful and directive that they see something and say, I will click here and purchase 100 of these items. We want our design to cause them to act. An overview of what we've talked about in the class: affordances, 4 different kinds: cognitive, extending one's mental abilities; physical attributes of the device that show us how to operate it; sensory, using human senses to give evidence to how to operate a device; and emotional, affordances that give us a feeling of joy when we use something. We also went over the model for Norman's 7 stages of action. Remember the microwave oven? And then when you're thinking about your website design, design it with affordances so the user finds it easier to use your website, and use something they understand to give a clue to operating your site. Thank you.